Hey guys, Anime Gypsy here with another anime classics review, and this, of course, is about what is considered by many the best animated movie in history, Spirited Away, Miyazaki's masterpiece. Now, when it comes to this anime, the thing that struck me the most is the sheer amount of detail and care that went into producing this movie. I mean, small things that are in the background, like the way the three heads moved that Ubaba owns. Just small things like that take a lot of creativity, and to have different character designs that are drastically different and unique and creative in the background, the frogs, the spirits, the turnip, the those things. Just to have a bunch of those just thrown at you right away. It's a new world. This is why I really love this. My one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre in anime, is adventure. And this really does invoke the adventure genre because it's a new world. It's a brand new world. I know I suck, but I just felt like saying that. But you get the point. It's a brand new world that is being introduced by Miyazaki. It's a blend of Miyazaki's creativity and Shintoism that is made into one, and that is the movie Spirited Away. And I loved it. It was just amazing. And beyond that, Spirited Away is actually a lot more when you focus on the characters, but it is worth noting the amount of creativity that went on in the background, because the movie wouldn't be as good as it was without that creativity lurking around in the background of the movie, from the character designs of other characters that aren't necessarily the main characters to just the like different aspects of landscape that are fictional, different spirits, different just stuff like that, which is just amazing. It really is. So now that we're going to move away from the background and more towards the characters, I just like to say that this is a major part of the anime, the background stuff. And it really should be mentioned and glorified. And to be honest, I could spend probably hours talking about the background by itself in this movie, but we have to move on to the main character, and she is Chihiro and her story, because Spirited Away is Chihiro's story. Now, this story is a story about maturity, make no doubt about it. And it's not just a story about a girl that needs to save her parents. No, because this character went through a lot of character development in this story. And if we don't address it, then we are doing this wrong. This character's characterization, character development in this anime, it's just astonishing. It shows you the development of a girl into a strong woman. And of course, I'm talking about Chihiro. And you see this progressively, little by little. The first scene of the anime, you see her basically complaining about little things that her parents are doing. She's moving. She's complaining about this, about that. All this jazz, and it's really bratty, and you don't really feel attached to the character. But then, when her parents are literally turned into kids in front of her, that's when you start feeling for her, like, oh God, this kid's having it hard. And then later on, you see her being saved by Haku and her being led to the blacksmith, and the whole shebang with her getting a job, seeing her struggle with the job, and seeing her trying to gain merit in front of her co-workers. This is a story about maturity, and this is how it's done. You realize that you are struggling, and you try to rise above that struggle. And that's what's happening right there. And you try to prove yourself to others around you. That is what leads someone to become mature, to rise above life when life gets hard. Merit comes along with it, but, I got that mixed up, but merit comes along with, enduring struggles. That's why when someone is able to endure a really hard life, a lot of time people have a lot of compliments to say about that person is strong, that person overcame this, that person overcame that, and that is important. That is an important part of life, and this is something that we see in Spirited Away and the aspects of Spirited Away. Now, there's this thing called the Burkle test, and it's supposed to measure basically how feminine a movie is. And you know, obviously this movie just broke the Burkle test. The Burkle test basically states, the first part of the Burkle test is there a female in the movie that has necessary lines? And if yes, does that female converse with another female about something other than a boy? And in this case, Chihiro talks to Abuba. I'm having a hard time I'm having a hard time pronouncing her name. You know, sue me. I'm an Egyptian guy making reviews. Abuba, her twin sister Rin, and a bunch of other girls that have been bullying her just because she doesn't know how to do work really well, which is important, you know, because she basically needs this job to survive in the spiritual world that she's been introduced to. And it's also important in terms of characterization because, you know, it adds on to the stress that this character has been put under, that she needs to overcome, and overcoming this hurdle of people bullying her, of her parents being turned into pigs, of and just all that. Overcoming all that is what makes her transition little by little into a notable character that is very mature rather than a bratty woman, because a bratty girl doesn't deal with the fact that she saw one of her friends almost dying, Haku, and she's trying to save his life, yada yada yada. Now this is the thing. Okay, so I have everything written down here, and the next point I want to talk about is, okay, so I talked about overwhelming detail. Yeah, the progression of Chihiro. I want to mention that Chihiro's progression is actually noted at the very end and mentioned by Rin when she says, "I don't think you're a klutz anymore," or "I don't think you're as bratty anymore," depending on whether you were reading fan subs, regular subs, or the dubbed. That little line right there is basically Rin telling Yoichiro, telling her that she grew up and she's basically a grown-up now, that she's matured. Now, this is the thing. Stakes are a big part of stakes are a very big part of this movie. This is the thing about Disney movies and about a lot of Studio Ghibli's movies. Actually, no, not a lot. Some of Studio Ghibli's movies that a lot of critics jump on is that you don't have that many stakes in those movies because, it's going to have a happy ending, yada, yada, yada. With Spirited Away, it was a bit different because you had scenes like a giant kid holding the main character's hands saying, "Play with me or I'll break your hand." Or the scene where literally her lover is covered in blood, bleeding out on the floor, dying, right in front of her. I mean, this is some strong stuff to be showing to a kid. And rightfully so, this anime, because it has scenes like that, has a lot of crying scenes. And that's important too, showing that emotion isn't something that should be suppressed and should be expressed instead, which is something that a lot of males actually suffer from in this world we live in, where they're taught that you shouldn't cry. Expressing emotion is taboo, expressing emotion is bad, but instead you have an expressive anime that, shows this girl crying over something like that. And yeah, I really liked it. And this is the thing about a lot of animes nowadays. A lot of animes nowadays have the one little tear when like a character dies or something. But this Spirited Away, just like One Piece, you have bawling. Like her eyes, like her face is wet. Like that's the one thing I really like about One Piece and Spirited Away when it comes to this particular aspect, is that they're not shy about showing tears. That's a big thing I want to talk about. Well, not talk about that much, but that's something I noticed I'd really like to share with you guys. So aside from that, there are aspects of Shintoism that are discussed in this movie. And the thing with Shintoism is that it really talks about spirits, and there you have it, the spirits in the movie. It also talks about mindfulness of others and basically caring for your environment and caring for others as well. And you see that in the theme of cleanliness, which is basically kind of equivocated with balance, order, good, and evil. Everything that you see that is dirty and nasty is basically a product of corruption, therefore it's bad. The very dirty, sluggish spirit that that she ended up cleaning at the bathtub along with Rin, how after cleaning it, it was purified, it was good, it looked very nice. And you see that in, other aspects. When Haku basically ended up spitting out that curse that Ubaba had on her. When that curse came out, it was like this slimy, disgusting little slug that was just, it looked like filth basically. And when she stepped on it, it like went everywhere and just looked like mud, which is basically, back again with that, cleanliness, balance, order, good and bad aspect of Shintoism, mindfulness of others. How she, like, when she addressed the spirits, even when they're bullying her, she had mindfulness of others in mind when dealing with them, which is, a big part of Japanese culture and Shintoism as well. Now, realism. You're going to say there's nothing realistic about this movie. Well, yes, there is nothing realistic about flying dragons and this spiritual world and the spirit of rivers and the spirit of valleys and the spirit of and whatever, and witches. There's nothing realistic about that. But there's one lesson that I think is really highlighted here, and this: you can't have everything. You can't. And that's something we see in the movie. At the very end, we know how she feels towards Haku. We know how she feels, but she can't have him. She can't fall in love with him because he's a spirit and she's a human being. And it's just not going to work, and that's the order of things. And in a way, it really does express little tragedy because they can't be together. And this is the lovely thing about this movie, is it shows you that not everything will work out. And that's the sour truth, and showing it to kids, I think. And this is the thing about Miyazaki, it's lessons like this about maturity, about what really matters in life that he expresses in his movie. Flowers don't matter in life, whether your parents live or die. That's what matters in life. That's Miyazaki for you. You can't have everything. That's Miyazaki for you. Haku not being able to be with her, in my perspective, really does add an element to this movie that that really gave it another dimension, and it was pretty nice because it broke expectability, because you'd expect the main heroine to end up with her lover, but that's not what happened here because he's a spirit and she's a girl. Now, if you like this video, please leave a like, and I'll be making more anime classics reviews. And until next time, guys, this is Anime Gypsy, and I'm out. See you guys later. Bye.